somebody put it like to me like this, and I didn't know that. They're like, Chris, are you ADHD? I'm like, yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just self-diagnosed, right? And I was like, yeah, probably.
Then we talked about so many other things.
Yeah, and then we finally got to the point.
Would you say all over white or something?
Is it?
Now
Is this 12? Is this 12?
This is 13.
It's 13.
It's 13.
Yeah.
Lucky 13. Ready whenever you're ready, Charles. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Episode
13
of
Grand Apps Show.
So welcome. Sorry, I was doing a little Snapchat in the meantime with that. So welcome, excited, lucky number 13 to have the episode with us. So real quick, you see a special guest. If you've seen different episodes, you might know who he is. If not, I'll let him introduce himself to everybody.
I'm Mike Biggery, account manager here at Grand Apps.
But mainly sales,
Sales, yep.
right? And then you want to tell him where you came from?
Sure.
A little quick background story.
Little quick elevator view of my life. I spent my entire adult life in Fortune 100 companies. Last 10 years specifically, I was a sales manager at the Schwann Food Company and business development with Staples Advantage.
Pause. Charles, put a staple right here. Stapler. Ding it.
right in front of my face.
Easy.
All right. Continue. I just had to get that in there.
No.
At the beginning of the episode, so people, where's that video magic from the captain?
Nice. Found myself last year saying to my wife, there has to be more to life than being one of 800 people. And
Over a year though.
over a
You
year.
just celebrate a year.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
1 couple months.
Yep, something like that. And I'm in love. I think I finally found myself and where I needed to be. So here I am at Grand Apps.
What is it that you love so much, Mike? We all love Mike. I
Well,
want to
that-
know, what is it that you love?
Talk about what we love, but that's actually segue to the topic. So the topic we're going to talk about, and it's probably in the title somewhere what it's going to be, and that topic title is probably going to be, joining a startup, or also joining a scaling up company as well, because we're not an official startup. We're more or less in the teenage years of scaling and that awkward growth phase before you get to that level. But I mean, you started with us like in the startup scaling phase.
Yeah.
Right. But
I would say for me, everywhere I've always been, I've had success, except they want to cap you on your creativity and who you really are. And most recently at Staples, when I actually was top 5 in the nation before I left, found myself, them trying to get me to conform more to a corporate structure to how I wanted to sell. And I like to sell on value.
yeah. So pretty much capping up. I mean, we don't want to say too detailed things here. Because it's going to be on the Grand Apps page. So, we love everybody else who we worked with. Previous employers, we love them. Nothing good to say about it, but pretty much you're kind of finding a ceiling, right?
Finding a
of
ceiling.
Decision level making, and you wanted a little more openness, right? More freedom.
I want to be able to sell. I don't like to pressure people. So I wanted to find my true niche of how I sell and use my personality for it. And coming to Grand Apps has really uncovered that. Much more relaxed environment. We have a lot more fun. And I feel like the sky's the limit for wherever Chris, Brandon, myself, anybody in our office wants to go, and that's become very addictive.
Yeah, and there's not much pressure, I want to say, is because we really at Grand Apps, we sell to need. Like we really do. Everything we do at Grand Apps can always benefit a company. All of our services help drive traffic, business, profit, all of that. So everything a business can actually utilize. So that makes it, not as pressuring when you're talking to a client because we're selling to need.
Well, and that coupled with the fact that you can help them.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you feel good and you sleep at night.
You walk in there and I know darn well there's nobody that can really compete with us, and it's unbelievable feeling to say this is what we do.
Yeah. So that was
You can't touch this.
And the reason I want to bring you on to the story in the show today was to kind of segue that with Brandon. You can kind of give your story real quick, like a 50,000 foot overview, because it kind of goes with him. But just about starting up with a startup company, because a lot of people hit me up all the time and they're like, Chris, should I join this company or should I join my friend's company or should I join my family member's company or should I start up a company? And they're just kind of scared to take that leap. So I wanted you to kind of give your story about that really quick.
Sure. I was kind of scared to take that leap, and it's funny because you say, should you start a business or work within a business with a friend or family members, things like that. Chris and I, we go back. We've been friends since high school, and that was something that's always brought to our attention. Like, how can you work with someone on a regular basis? We do outside activities, always together, things like that. It doesn't become awkward. Or how do you draw that line within work and personal? And we just have such a good communication relationship that we can do that. But to jump back and just starting with a company, I was nervous to take that leap, but I realized where I was going, it was going to lead to somewhere I wasn't going to be satisfied with, right? I got my degree in accounting, didn't even see myself really doing what I do today. People told me you have a great personality, you can be a salesman, this and that. Chris came to me, crazy story, he actually offered at one point in time to give me half the amount of money in his bank account to come
Which
work
was like
with-
zero. But we split
At
zero,
that time.
0.0. We'll
Yeah.
put a zero bank account right here and a bunch of other zeros over here.
So he gave me that offer, and I was like, it was a great, generous offer, and I thought about it, but just didn't want to do it at the time. For one, I wanted to make it on my own, right? I wanted to make...
Just prideful.
Yeah, I was definitely prideful, right? So
Alpha male.
as much as he was like, come do it, I never forgot about it. But then when it was the right time for me, I graduated school, I was serving, whatever, making ends meet. And that was the time where I finally was like, okay, I want to take this jump. I want to take this leap. I want to start a Grand Apps. And just having my back up against the wall, because I had quit my other job, I had no other source of income, it made me work that much harder. It gave me that much more drive. It made me that much more motivated to put in the work, the hours needed to make myself successful. So, looking back at it, I'm glad I didn't take that money off the bat, because, I might have used it. I might have used it on stuff I shouldn't have spent it on at the time. I wouldn't have been where I am today if I would have went ahead and then, took that. So,
Yeah, so looking at, and the reason too I'm bringing this topic up in the show is because, we just brought a brand new guy, Dan, and he's coming into sales as a lead gen, right? So you guys are going to work hand in hand with him.
Mhm.
And he worked in a totally different industry, but he kind of wanted to do sales, and he kind of had that a little bit of it, anxious, not fear factor, but, to switch completely into a different environment.
Sure.
So what I want to talk to you guys about, open up really quick to segue, is that fear, right?
Sure.
So you guys you were in this career path, you were deciding the career path, and then you chose to come to a startup scaling company. Obviously it's worked out,
Yeah.
and it's working out, right? And you can go any way. I mean, the sky's the limit. But looking at that, what was kind of that fear like, and then maybe how did you overcome it, and how did you justify the decision?
Well, if I can, so I'm married, I have kids. I think for myself, it felt natural because when I came on to Grand Rapids, I was actually
Grand Raps. By the way,
second time today I said Grand Raps, right, Brandon?
Mhm.
We were
In
going
a
to start a
sales
whole
pitch.
rap song, yeah. But I was actually interviewing with another Fortune 100 company where they actually offered me the position, and found myself at the end of that saying, I don't want to do this. I remember telling my wife it was time for me to take a risk.
Mhm.
It's either I start my own company or work for somebody just like at Grand Apps where I
Yeah.
feel like I'm making a big difference. We have kids. We're in a different position. So to be able to take the risk to open your own company is quite a bit more. I wasn't scared of it. My wife was. So having your spouse be supportive, which my wife is a rock star. I love you, honey.
It's always scary to start a company, though.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. Happy day after your birthday. I love you. But it's been a blessing in disguise. Everything has been awesome. I mean, and I think the really cool part, I brought my son here a bunch. He talks about these two all the time.
Carter, if he's watching this, we were just send me some more Snapchats. We were Snapchatting back
Yeah.
the weekend.
Yeah, I
doing
was-
the funny faces and the filters.
Yeah, my son. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I think that's been the biggest thing. Bringing that kind of sense of closeness. I love that I can bring him here and they're cool with him, even though they don't have kids. You never know how people without kids are going to react. So it's been awesome. It's been an awesome environment. They've been here through the ups and downs. I mean, anytime you go into a startup or even start your own company, there's plenty of ups and downs. These guys are seriously the best. I couldn't be more thankful.
Yeah, so then I mean, obviously it worked out, right? So what's like a piece of advice, like actionable step that you can give somebody for, like, if they're on the fence right now about that?
Stay calm, make a rational decision. I mean, I'm very strategic in my thinking. I would tell you that, yes, it's kind of a rash decision, but take your time with it. And don't make a decision solely based on one thing, whether, oh, my spouse is telling me to do this, or whatever the circumstance is. Weigh it out for yourself, because you don't want to sit here. I'm going to be 37 this year, and this is kind of how I looked at it. If I don't take this chance now, in 10 years, I'm either going to be kicking myself, or I'm not going to be able to take this chance again.
Yeah.
There's, you have that one time in your life where you can really take a chance. That was it. And my wife understood that, so we, together made this decision.
And I'm gonna keep it short. Do what you want, because I'll be honest. When I had started, I think Chris and John, you might have been the only two that actually said it might have been a good idea to do what I want to do. I talked to some family members about what I was doing. Even some of my other close-knit friends, they're like, really? You're just going to kind of throw away your accounting degree? You're going to throw away, you know what I'm saying? Throw away, I think I graduated in 5-6 years maybe. They're going to say you're going to throw away those 6 years to start with a business, a startup where you honestly don't really have any experience in. I didn't know that much about apps development, sales, any of that stuff. So they were actually kind of hesitant in my decision, and I could tell they didn't want me to go ahead and make that leap. Chris was the one who was right there. You got to do it. I can see you being very successful. I see your drive. So I just made that jump. Even though my corner wasn't really supported at the time, I just went and did it because that was my decision. So that's short. If you want to do it, yes, I want you to plan it out. I want you to make rational decisions. But again, don't be afraid to take that leap if you don't have people believing in you. Believe in yourself and go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and to find that vision. When I started, I think my parents believed in me, but they didn't even really understand what an app was and weren't, on technology. They had no clue, what an iPhone is. So for them to kind of grasp that reality was like, what does that even look like? And, to start that it was pretty fun, but I was the same way. I had, I would say doubters, because I was a kid in college who always had ideas. So I'd jump around from this idea to this idea to that idea. I'd want to start this. That's just who I am. And, when I brought this one up, for me, part of it was when I would bring something up, I would shout it. And I would just say, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this company, and that's where we're going to go with it. So I did that with everything. So people would see me kind of bouncing back and forth. So the same thing with Grand Apps. When I said, I'm going to do Grand Apps, it was the same thing. Okay, it's just another one. It's another one. Mm-hmm. And for me, though, everything just kind of clicked at that moment where I did see that opportunity. This is going to work. And little things along the way where I just didn't give up and I didn't want it to fail. I just really made it work. So that's Charles the Captain put. Was it do what you love? Yeah, money will come. So rendering service. That's one very big one. Is doing what you love. So rendering service, helping people out. The more that you'll help out and facilitate with other people get what they want, you're gonna get what you want too. And that's just a simple fact in life. We were talking to the guy at the gym. On a closing note, mm-hmm. We're a story time. We were talking to this guy at the gym, and I didn't tell you this, Mike, but he just got a job at the gym because we saw people cycle. We see him cycle all the time. He's at the front desk, and we're talking about the employees in the gym, and he was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Chris." And he's like, "Good to meet you." He goes, "Chris, tell me something." He goes, "How many people at this gym know you by name?" I was like, "Maybe a couple, not everybody." And he was like, "That's my problem." And he was saying the problem was people weren't going out and building relationships. They weren't networking and giving value and service to the people coming through the door. I said that's one of my biggest beefs with the gym industry is, every personal trainer should know every single person in that gym, right? Give them some kind of help or advice, or can I connect you with something or put you in the right place? They're just kind of sheltering up because they'll see people who are regulars and they're kind of scared, oh, he seems like he knows what he's doing. So you know what they're looking at? They're looking at money first, and they're going, well, he's not going to sign up as a client with mine because he already seems like he's in shape, and he's probably not going to do it, which is actually complete shit because, people ask me all the time, hey, how do you stay in shape? What do you do? How do you eat? I don't have time to give them a meal plan. I don't have time to help them out. And I'm not a personal trainer, it's not what I do, but if I had, Rick, who's my buddy and who's at the gym building a relationship with me, I would just refer people to Rick all the time. So, partnering with people like that, it's a good idea. So, that was it. So just rendering that service and giving more, and then you receive that later. It's a simple fact.
And I just want to touch on one last thing. Be patient. Whether you're joining a startup or you are actually starting up, there are going to be many downs, many ups, and as soon as you go down, don't throw in the towel. You jumped into this situation for a reason. Be patient, be strategic.
It's life.
Yeah, it is. It's life. But I see so many people that, like Chris, you talk about many things that you've started up, and oh, here we go again, whatever.
Right.
He didn't stop trying.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what the idea was.
I thought about getting a job the first year.
Sure.
Like I would meet with clients like, hey, Mr. Client, kind of prospecting them. Like, I kind of want to get a sale, but any opportunities? I'm not really looking, but my ears are open.
Sure.
I don't know. I was terrified.
So.
That's what we got. Do you guys want to do any bings?
Bing, 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 bing,
Of
Charles.
what, though?
I don't know.
Well, tell me what a Bing is.
So what we're doing is we'll say, Charles, put a panda face right here, or Charles, let's put a giraffe here, or let's make Mike a bobblehead.
A bobblehead, please.
That's it. We'll see you guys in episode 14.